Hello to all and to all hello. My name is Mac, and if you don't know me, I'm a musician and a very avid reader. So today I am going to be talking about my 4 favorite books of all time. I narrowed it down to 4 because it was going to be way too many if I didn't do 4. So yeah, a little bit about why I want to start this channel. I just want to have a place to talk about these things, and I'm going to be talking about art and music and books and kind of just anything that interests me. I mean, you see my room, I'm eclectic. That's how my mother describes me, is I'm eclectic. So yeah, if you see my cat in the background, she lives here too. I don't know. I do have notes on my computer so I don't get sidetracked. I want to make sure that this is kind of entertaining, but also I don't want it to be like, oh my god, I can't follow what this person is saying. So yeah, let's get started. The Plum Tree by Ellen Marie Wiseman. This book is so good. It's so beautiful, and the cover, beautiful. I love this book so much. I think that anybody who has an interest in history, because it's a historical fiction, I should have said that, it's a historical fiction. Anybody who has an interest in history or anything like that should read this book, and I believe that, because it's a historical fiction, like I said, and it's circa World War II, and it's written so beautifully. And I don't know if it was made like this or if it's just that old, because I got this book from a little free library. It's got the page. I love it. I don't know if it was can you see that? I don't know if it was made like that or if it's just old, because I don't know how old this book is. Yeah, so this book is centered around the main character, Christine Boltz. She's around 16 to 18 range, I believe, and she falls in love with a Jewish boy. Not a good thing to do in those times, because of what was going on, World War II, Hitler, all that fun stuff. Not fun, but all that stuff. And it's so heartbreaking. This book is so heartbreaking, but I love it so much. Long story short, she ends up in the concentration camp. She's not Jewish, but she ends up in the concentration camp, and it is so heartbreaking, but it is so good. The writing in this book, phenomenal. It's so good. It's genuinely, the detail, there were moments where I had to put it down because the detail in it, I was this is horrible to say, but it was gross. I mean, the detail, but she was describing a concentration camp, And I think it's different when you're in history class and you're bored and you're just listening to some 50-year-old white man drone on about the same event that you've heard about for however many years you've been in school. It's different because you're reading this detailed account, and it's heartbreaking. And it's not just oh, you're learning this to pass a test. Because usually I'm not down with historical fictions. I just kind of picked it up because I picked it up, But it's so good. And don't quote me on this, but I think she interviewed her grandmother, maybe? Yes, okay. So she has been to Germany because she is German. Okay. So she probably interviewed a family member or something, because there's no way you could have that detailed of an account without interviewing somebody, because it was so heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking, and there were moments I could not put it down, but I had to. I had to remind myself that this is real. The book, the account itself is fiction, but this is real. There's one specific scene in the book that I really kind of stuck with me, is when Christine arrives at the concentration camp and they get sorted, she goes to her bunker for the night, and she's expecting just like bunk beds and like a couple people. It was like 20 to 30 people in a room that's like the size of like my room right now. And my room, I mean, it's a decent size, but not for 20 to 30 people, you know. And it smelled, the way she describes the tastes and the smells and the feelings, and there were moments that I had to like pull myself out of it. Like I had to put it down and like watch a cartoon because it's that horrific. And the resolution of the book is beautiful, and I'm not going to spoil it in case you do want to read it, but the resolution of the book is beautiful and triumphant, I think is a good word to describe it as, is triumphant, because in the end she wins as much as you can. You know, she wins as much as you can. So, yeah, The Plum Tree by Ellen Marie Wiseman. Next book. Total 360 from the historical fiction that I was just talking about. Red, White, and Royal Blue. Yeah. This book, I'm not even big on like modern romances. I think that's a good way to put it. I'm not a fan of, oh my god, he found these text messages, and that's like the biggest problem in the book. I'm not a fan of that. I like when, like in the next book that I'm going to talk about, I like the drama and like the medieval times and like stuff like that. But I'm not big on modern romance books. I'm just not big on it. But this book, I was given the book by, I don't even remember his name. I don't remember. But I wasn't gonna read it because I think I might have asked for it, but then I was on Book Talk or whatever, and I like looked up like Red, White, and Royal Blue, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. This book is so good. So this book, they're on the covers. This book surrounds Alex and Henry. Alex is the president's son. Okay, the president in this book is a woman. I love her. They're from the South, and I love them. The president in this book, she's a liberal Southern person, which I love, and then she's a woman president. That's crazy. But he's a partier, and he's like charismatic, and he's all these things, and he's a wild child. It's a good way to put it. He's a wild child. Then we have Henry across the ocean in England, because he's the Prince of England. Okay, Prince of England. They have this whole warring little feud. It's totally enemies to lovers, and I love it so much. They have this warring little feud going on, and like then they fall in love. They fall in love. I love it so much. And this book really highlights the struggles, I guess, of finding yourself and of finding your people and of figuring out who you are, and like then on top of it they have to figure out who they are in the public eye. It's heartbreaking, but it's so good. I wouldn't say it's heartbreaking. It is kind of heartbreaking. It is. There was moments where I cried, and I don't usually cry over books, but it's Casey McQuiston, I think that's how you say her name. Casey, she's such a good author. She's such a good author. Because when you can have a book that's poetic and comedic, you've done it. You've made it. And they coexist happily. Because people try to all the time. People try to be poetic and comedic at the same time. But not everybody can achieve it. Casey did it. She achieved it, and she made it interesting. She kept me, I could not put this book down. I was taking this book to school. I was reading it on the bus. When I was still riding the bus at the time. and it was so good. And one thing I loved that I didn't think I would like when I saw it on like Book Talk or whatever is these like text messages. Like, it almost looks like a screenshot of like a text message or like an email. Here, I'll just show you. Like my like fingers. You can like see it, and I didn't think that I was gonna like it, but it was actually so cute, and it made them seem more human. I love when a character seems human. I love when they're not some mythical being and untouchable. Like, I can't do like I watch Brittany Broski and she talks about like dragons and all that. I can't do that. I don't mess with that. Like, and when I said medieval earlier, I meant like human medieval. Like, I don't know, it made them seem relatable, and it made them seem real, and it made them seem like you could be their friend. And I think that makes a book that much more enjoyable. I think that makes the book that much more enjoyable. Representation in this book is also really, really great, and I think that Casey, I applaud her for doing that, because like one of Alex's bodyguards is a transgender woman, first of all, and then she's a lesbian, and then his best friend is bisexual, and then there's so many other ones that I'm trying to think about, but like it's just everywhere, it's all over the place, and she makes it seem so normal, because it is normal, but it's not normalized. Unfortunately, it's not normalized. And I'm so happy that there's another book that it's not just straight white girl, straight white man. This is British boy, British man, and then Alex is Hispanic, and they're gay. They're gay, and they get together and they live, and it's normal, and they're breaking barriers, and they're giving representation, and they're making people feel safe, and it's so good. I love it so much. And I think also the representation of different races in this book is beautiful. I think that that's something we need more of as well. But yeah, it's so good. It's written so beautifully, and Casey, I love you. She's not gonna say this, but Casey, I love you. And yeah, and it's like, there was moments where I was like reading this and I was like, oh my god, wait, they're not real. Like, it's written like so well that I'm like, oh my god, I know these people. Like, that's how I felt, because it's written so well and it's that detailed. But yeah, so Red, White, and Royal Blue. I will also link this one down in the description, because I think everybody should read this. I love this book. I love it so much. Anyways, next book. Under a Dancing Star by Laura Wood. I have trouble saying Laura. Ignore it. So this book, first of all, can we appreciate the cover? That's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's a work of art itself. And also, I love having it on my shelf, because look how pretty. It's so pretty, and I love it. But this book is loosely, I guess, a retelling of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. I didn't realize that until we read Much Ado About Nothing in my honors English class. Like, I didn't realize it, because usually I'm not down with a retelling, but this one is done in a way that it's not, I don't even know how I would describe it as a retelling. It's almost like adjacent. Like, it's like Much Ado About Nothing adjacent, because it's 1930s England. Crazy. 1930s England. And it's based in an artist colony, which I think is so cool, because I love art and I love art history, and I've got multiple like paintings and things like up on my wall and whatever. And Ursula, one of my favorite characters, she's so funny. She's not the main character, but I love her so much. She's an artist, and she's definitely a tortured artist, and she's insane, and I love her. But this book follows Bee and Ben, which, if you don't know, in Much Ado About Nothing, it's Beatrice and Benedict. I didn't even realize. I had no idea. I didn't even realize. But it follows Bee finding her place in the world, and then it follows Bee finding her place in the world, and Ben is this. He's kind of like Alex in a way, of like he's just partying and he's chaotic and he's charismatic and he's doing all these things and he's an artist. And moral of the story, they're two very different people, but they come together so well. And the main character is Bee. She is not the whole, oh, I'm a damsel in distress, save me. She's not that at all. And I love that. I hate the whole damsel in distress trope. I hate it so much. She is like so independent, and she's so, I can do this myself, but I like having you here. And I think that's beautiful. I love the whole, I can do this myself, but I want your company. I love that. There's lesbian aunts, which I wrote that down on my computer, and like now I'm like, it's not important to the story, but I love it so much. They're like lesbian aunts, and they're Ben's aunts because he was raised by an artist. And he was raised like free and all this stuff, and like lesbian aunts. And then if I'm remembering correctly, there's like some French in this book, and I speak French. So I enjoyed that. Beautiful writing, beautiful descriptions. I don't know why this book really impacted me so much, but it did. And it's just different. It's different. It's something else. It's something else. And I think it's very, because I thought it was just gonna be like one of those, like just a little romance book, like whatever. But I thought it was gonna be like how I was saying earlier, like how I like the older times romance books. But this one's different because it leaves you on a cliffhanger. And usually I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan. But it makes more sense knowing that Much Ado About Nothing also ends on a cliffhanger. But, and it's a cliffhanger where it's almost like you want to know more, but you're also content with what happened. Because Bee and Ben, they go through so much. They travel and they do all this stuff and they fight and they love each other and they all this stuff. Like, they go through so much, and all the characters are so dynamic. All the characters are so dynamic and so interesting, and so everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. I love a book like that. I hate when like books give you just like information that you don't need. Every single character in this book has some lore and has a story, and I love it so much. And I think that Laura Wood is a great writer, and I need to get more of her books actually. But like just the pure, first of all, it's so pretty. The praise in the like beginning of the book, it's like praise for Laura Wood. Everybody loves it. Everybody's like, this is such a great retelling, because it's not the exact same, and everything's so good, and I love it so much. But yeah, and the cover, I love the cover so much because it's beautiful, but it ties into the story. Like the house on the cover ties into the story. Dragonflies and butterflies tie into the story. The girl, I'm assuming it's Bee. I'm not sure if Not sure if it is, but I'm assuming it is. So, next book, and we're gonna end on this one because this book might be my favorite book of all time. Maybe. I'm not sure. This book, I have a love-hate relationship with it almost. I Who Have Never Known Men. And I'm probably gonna make a video on this book just by itself. I Who Have Never Known Men changed me. And usually I'm good at kind of separating books and things from my own mental brain, you know? Mental brain. But this book follows a girl who doesn't know her name. She doesn't know anything about her. She doesn't know how she was born. She doesn't know anything. She has no idea. And her and 34 other women, or 29 other women, it's her and a bunch of other women are in a bunker. And it's guarded by men. The men whip them, and the men control them, and the men control when they eat and they sleep, and the men confuse them because the men bring food at different times so they don't know what time it is. The other women, because when she was brought, or when all these women were put into this bunker, she was a child. She doesn't remember any of it. All of them just call her the child because they don't know who she is. They believe that it was a mistake that she was put here. But she goes through all of she's 16, I believe, but no, none of them really know because they don't know. It reminded me, I read like an article about like The Handmaid's Tale, and it almost reminded me of that a little bit, just like the total backwards fall that society took, you know, because the women dress like not pilgrims. I guess the pilgrims isn't the right word, but they dress conservatively, and the men control them, and the men do all this, and they call them the guards. And she's never known a man. And all the women who are with her, they don't remember anything. It's been so long since they've been out that they have remnants of their past in their brain, but they're like, is that even real? Am I imagining this? And all of the women refuse to tell her about the old world, is what they call it. Because they don't want her to get upset, because she's never known anything different. She's never known what is and what isn't. She's never known. And eventually, I'm not gonna spoil it, but they get out. And oh my god, this book is so heartbreaking. She ends up being the last one alive. Throughout the book, the women die off. And they're just on this plane that they don't know if it's Earth. They don't know if it's another planet. They don't know anything. They were just left there because something happened where the guards fled and they left them there to die. But she ends up, the child, is what they call her, ends up being, it's 39 women. Okay, I'm reading the back, sorry. She ends up being the last one alive. She's never even seen herself. She's never seen herself. She doesn't know what she looks like. She doesn't know if, she only knows what she's looked down at her arm and seen. She doesn't know what her face looks like. And none of us can imagine that. I have a mirror right here. I can't even imagine what it's like not ever seeing your face. And she ends up alone. And it's so sad, and I want to cry just thinking about it. She's alone, and she's we don't know if she's unhappy or happy because she doesn't know what that feels like. She doesn't know what getting your favorite toy feels like. She doesn't know what getting ice cream feels like. She doesn't know what losing somebody feels like. She doesn't know what losing somebody feels like, but she has nothing to compare it to. Like, here's happiness, here's sadness, here's what happened. She has nothing to compare. She has nothing to be happy about. And She has no idea how old she is. She has no idea how many days have passed. She has no, it made me rethink time, and it made me rethink our society, and it made me rethink, it just made me rethink everything. And I was kind of going through a rough time when I read it, and it opened my eyes, but at the same time it kind of made things worse because it was depressing, and but that's the point, you know. It was depressing and it was philosophical, but that's the point, it's to make you think. It's a science fiction is what I looked it up just to make sure I had the right genre, and it's a science fiction is what it told me. But I think that it's meant to make you think, and it's meant to make you question things, and it's meant to make you look at yourself and think, what am I, and what am I doing here? Because she had no idea what she was doing. She counted. She would count, and she would, because they had nothing else to do in the bunker. And sometimes I wonder if she imagined the women. Sometimes I wonder if she imagined the guards. Sometimes I wonder if any of the things that she wrote down, because it's written in first person, if any of it was real, or if she was just bored and she wrote it down. Because at the end it says, as I put down my pen, I will lay down and go to sleep forever. I believe that's what it says, or it's something adjacent to that. And I wonder sometimes if any of it was real, or if she was just walking alone and all these women were a figment of her imagination. But Jacqueline Hartman, artist. That's the author. Artist. But yeah, I'm probably gonna do a whole video on this book because I could go on and on about this for hours, but it's so good. But yeah, so I'm gonna link all of these in the description. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you like this. I don't know how often I'll be uploading because I have a lot of things going on in my life, but I think that this is going to be a good outlet just to talk and just to have something more to do. Because, I don't know, I like yapping. But, yeah, but like I said, I just want to educate people, talk about things. If you have any questions in the comments, I'll answer them. But, yeah, so I hope you have a great day. I hope that you know that you're loved, and yeah, thanks for watching. So, bye!